Good morning and welcome to KidNuz, generously sponsored today by the Letarte family of Northville, Michigan, to say a belated happy birthday to Isaac and to wish him a great first day of school today. Isaac, your mom and dad are excited for you to start 8th grade and watch you compete in cross country, swimming, track, and soccer. We hope you have a wonderful day and the best year yet. I'm Tori. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. And we begin with splashdown for NASA's SpaceX Crew 6 Dragon capsule. The 3 astronauts and 1 Russian cosmonaut who were on board safely returned to Earth yesterday morning, landing in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida, after a 6-month mission at the International Space Station. Loud but harmless sonic booms could be heard across the Sunshine State as the capsule arced across the night sky. The crew had medical checkups on board a recovery ship, then headed back to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Texas. Meanwhile, in other space news, India has successfully launched its first observation mission to the sun, just days after making history by becoming the first country to land near the moon's south pole. The unmanned rocket heading to the sun will travel for 4 months before it starts orbiting the giant star and will conduct a series of scientific studies to understand the impact that solar wind and flares have on our planet. The Ocean Cleanup Project has put taking out the trash to a whole new level. The organization that's been tackling the Great Pacific Garbage Patch for several years recently started using their new System 3. It's nearly 3 times larger than their previous technology and can basically clean up the size of a football field every 5 seconds. The U-shaped floating barrier is about 1.5 miles long, towed between 2 slow-moving boats. Below the barrier is a screen that hangs about 13 feet down in the water, which is where most of the floating plastic is found. Once the trash is scooped up, it's recycled into new, sustainable products. The ocean cleanup has removed over 275 tons so far, and CEO Boyan Slat says his goal is to rid the oceans of at least 90% of plastic trash by the year 2040. A helpful pilot went above and beyond the call of duty to return a young girl's favorite doll that had been left at an airport a very long way from home. 9-year-old Valentina from Dallas, Texas, was enjoying a summer vacation with her family when she left her American doll, Beatrice, behind at a stopover in Tokyo, Japan. Valentina was heartbroken, so her parents posted on social media to see if anyone had seen the doll, and that's when American Airlines pilot James Dannon stepped in. He tracked down the doll in the Lost and Found, offered to bring it back to Texas, and even took flat Stanley-like selfies with Beatrice on all the stops along the way. If that wasn't enough, the pilot then made a personal delivery, bringing Beatrice right to Valentina's house the next time he flew through Dallas. If you couldn't see some of your favorite TV channels this weekend, you were not alone. Charter Communications, one of the biggest cable companies in the U.S., is in negotiations with Walt Disney Company over how much to pay to carry Disney's channels. And that includes many popular ones like ESPN, FX, National Geographic, and the Disney Channel. The talks broke down late last week, causing those channels to go dark for some of the 15 million Charter customers, depending on which service they used. Part of the problem is many people are leaving cable for streaming services like Netflix, but those streaming services don't bring in as much money for the media companies as the cable partnerships. According to the New York Times, Charter says the traditional cable TV model is completely broken and needs to be fixed or abandoned, but at this point, it's unclear how to do that. The timing for the cable blackout was a problem for college football, which started in earnest this past weekend. The game that possibly got the most attention was Colorado and new coach Deion Sanders taking on TCU in Texas. Sanders was such a superb athlete in 2 sports, he's the only pro who's won both a Super Bowl and a World Series. His nickname used to be Primetime, so now he's called Coach Prime, though some questioned his ability on the sidelines, including his decision to put his son in as starting quarterback. But the results were clear. Shedeur Sanders threw for 510 yards and 4 touchdowns, leading the Buffaloes of Colorado, who only won 1 game all of last season, to stun the Horned Frogs of TCU, who played for the national championship just 8 months ago. Coming up, what do you do when 5 million honeybees fall off the back of a truck? But first, our KidNuz quiz. How long was NASA's SpaceX crew's latest mission? 6 months. How quickly can the Ocean Cleanup Organization now collect trash in the area the size of a football field? 5 seconds. What's the name of the doll that was returned from Tokyo to Dallas? Beatrice. Coach Prime is leading which college football team? Colorado. In our KidNuz kicker, it was an unbelievable traffic problem near Toronto, Canada last week when crates came loose from a truck and spilled onto the roadway. Inside those crates, 5 million honeybees. Police warned drivers to keep their windows closed as they passed through the area. Shortly after police put a notice on social media, 6 or 7 beekeepers arrived at the scene, and within 3 hours, police said most of the bees had been safely collected and the crates were hauled away. Before we go, we want to again thank today's sponsors, the Letarte family of Northville, Michigan, for underwriting today's episode, and give a big shout out to Isaac and all his friends at Novi Middle School. And we want to say a big KidNuz hello to some of our terrific teachers, Mrs. Utes and her Knights at North Park in Valencia, California, Mrs. Stevenson and her Bulldogs at Rocky Run Elementary in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and homeschooling mom Jill at the Lehman Learning Academy at Pontiac in Indonesia. Thanks for listening. A reminder that ad-free episodes can be found on Apple Plus or wherever you get your podcasts. And we hope you tune in for more KidNuz tomorrow morning.